special report.
Knowing how to invest your money is harder than ever before. Dealing with stock market volatility, record debt, and terrorist attacks requires new thinking. At U.S. Asset Management, we can help you see the world more clearly so that you can move beyond the chaos and invest with confidence. Call us, visit us online, or drop by our office. U.S. Asset Management, helping you make better decisions with your money.
You guys know what this represents?
What all of it?
I don't remember, it's the calm before the storm.
What's the storming?
Could be the calm before the storm.
What storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out. We will liberate America from these villains and tyrants who are looking to destroy our country. No matter what they throw at us, no matter what they do to us, we will not bend, we will not break, we will not yield. We will never give in, we will never give up, we will never, ever back down. We will complete the mission, we will cross the finish line. We will demolish tyranny, and we will rescue freedom, liberty, and justice. And we will restore the American Republic to all of its greatness and glory, greater than ever before. My fellow citizens, this incredible journey we are on together has only just begun. We are one movement, one people, one family, and one nation under God.
We find ourselves in a world seemingly turned upside down, our three-letter agencies working against Americans, our government hiding truths from us, our American values and family values bypassed, our God-given rights being threatened or ignored outright. This program will attempt to provide information which may help put perspective around these dynamics. You will be the judge of what information is meaningful to you, and as always, we encourage you to do your own research and form your own conclusions. Sometimes you can't simply be told. You must see for yourself.
All right, welcome back. We are delighted to once again welcome Lynne Haggerman to the show, along today with Cathy O'Brien and her first visit to Insist on Truth. Ladies, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
So one of the reasons that I wanted to call us together for this session is we seem to see people, I'll call it making choices as we go forward. There's an increased, I guess, awareness of a spiritual underpinning to what we're living through now, and perhaps even before, we just didn't happen to notice it as much. And you notice folks like Tucker in his conversations over the past year and a half, he's increasingly mentioning the spiritual aspects of what we're seeing. And Alex Jones and Joe Rogan and others. And so I think people, from what I can gather, are becoming more aware of this and having questions. You know, what the heck is going on? How do I interpret this? How do I assimilate this into the way I live my life? So let me start, if we may, by getting your thoughts on it. Do you see that, and how do you interpret that?
Well, I see people waking up from what has been generations of mass mind manipulation and mind control, indoctrination, the whole propaganda machine. And all of a sudden, people are waking up to say, what in the world's been going on? What is all this trauma? What is all this drama? And they're wanting to know and make some choices. So in my life's experience, I know the formula for mind control is the same, whether it's of an individual, a nation, a classroom, a military, or the world. Trauma is the basis of it. It shuts down neuron pathways in the brain. Well, right now we've got a great awakening happening. People are realizing that this trauma-based mind control has been a deliberate attempt from keeping us to keep us distracted, to keep us from going within, remembering who we are and why we're here, remembering our own power. We've been giving it away for so long. So people are going within, and they're realizing that this has been a spiritual battle all along, because if we don't have free thought, we don't have free will. Without free will, there's no soul expression. There's no ability to stand for the things we believe in, or have a moral compass, or an ability to discern truth. Mind control has a tremendous toll on our compassion for each other and our ability to reach into the strength of the human spirit and that infinite power of love, that gives us our humanity and unites us all. So in so many ways, I'm seeing this great awakening as a spiritual awakening. And as that's happening, people are having to reject the old and move into life as it was intended to be all along.
Wow, that's very upbeat. That sounds wonderful. Lynn, what are you seeing?
I mean, I agree with everything Cathy just said. The mind control, the spiritual aspects. Whenever I was little and being trafficked and experimented on underground, the MK Ultra mind control was the process that was used by our U.S. university medical centers and the CIA, especially released in recent documents in December of 2024 from the archive, National Security Archive, 1,200 new documents about the CIA saying that they were experimenting on U.S. citizens through the university medical centers. And that was MK Ultra mind control. And I have been speaking for the past year, healing for the past 15 in what I call social isolation, even though I've had all my businesses. And Cathy was so instrumental, although she, of course, didn't know it at the time, for helping me in my healing to understand what exactly was happening, because the mind control experiments underground they brought above ground in order to do things like COVID. And it's all the same, instilling trauma and fear in order to eliminate logical, analytical thinking and open up the subconscious to things like Operation Mockingbird, where we hear the same thing over and over and over and over again. COVID's a perfect example above ground, and it instills such trauma that people are easily controlled, but for hearing the truth. And you mentioned, Bill, your awakening. I had the same awakening in 2020. I knew my part of this puzzle, but all of the other I was not that awake to. And whenever I became awake, I was ready to speak. Just like all of us, we are the mainstream media now, and by us speaking our truth, people are waking up and coming out by using their logical, analytical thought processes. As Cathy often says, knowledge is our power, and that's what breaks us free. So people are becoming awake. And the spiritual side, whenever I was little, I lived that. I saw the spiritual simultaneously with the physical, just as real. Both of them were just as real because I was so tiny during the trauma. The little ones can see the spiritual so much easier than the adults, because I believe our Department of Re-Education gets that out of us through indoctrination. The spiritual is very, very real currently too. And we are seeing a great divide between good versus evil. These evil people are not like us. We are two separate things, and there's no middle ground, because I'm an international human resource consultant is my day job. And I teach constantly, doing and saying nothing means agreement, even if you don't want to. And in the spiritual realm, it's actually what they thrive off of. If people don't speak up, it increases their power spiritually.
That's a remarkable insight. You mentioned a couple things I wanted to go a little more into, and that is, these things are, as you get more conscious of them, you can actually see them. We've played, and I probably will add to the end of our podcast today, a clip of Project Mockingbird actually in process, and it has goes from one television screen to about 30, and everybody is saying the exact same phrases, and you can hear it over and over again. And it seems remarkable and even more surprising when you understand that these are separate and they're competing in many cases television stations. How could they possibly have the same script? And yet there it is. You can see it and it's recorded and people can begin to understand it. So some things are easily recognizable. Other things, as you say, you have to be thinking actively in order to spot them, and then to be able to say, no, I don't consent to this, whatever it may be. And there's lots of examples of that going on as well. You also mentioned, both of you mentioned Project MK Ultra, and at one point this was the stuff of what the bozos used to call conspiracy theories, but now you can actually find the documents online that describe many of the individual parts of MK Ultra, and you can see it's a real thing, and as you say, it's still in many ways going on, perhaps evolved into some different forms than they used to use. And so once you begin to see this, and you can actually see documents that go back to the 50s or 60s that talk about this, it begins to become, painfully real to many people. I want to take just a moment and show a little clip of Alex Jones in a conversation with Tucker this past week, where he says many of the same things we're beginning to investigate here. So if you'll bear with me, I'd like to go ahead and show this.
Bible, Old Testament, New Testament, it's all there, and then I see it happening. It says that during these big times of change, that you'll see the best out of the good people and the worst out of the bad people. And some people you thought were good are going to really activate and show you their real cards, that they're really your servants of evil or really slaves of evil. And then you're going to see some people you thought weren't good that are going to be touched and make the decision to be strong for liberty. That'll be some of our greatest champions.
Yes.
And that you're not going to really see people in the middle anymore, that big middle of people passing the buck. God said you were hot nor cold. You were lukewarm. I spit you out of my mouth. And so we're going into really the beginning. It's going to get way more intense in my view. If any prediction, it's that. If people think things are wild now and tumultuous, this is going to be seen as the calm before the storm. And so there's going to be nowhere to be in the middle. People are going to have to choose a side. And those that have chosen evil, chosen the establishment, chosen the satanic world order, are going to get deeper and deeper into their devotion, their hysteria, their violence, trying to prop it up, because deep down they're scared, and they have a form of Stockholm syndrome where they go to the abuser and think if they prostrate themselves before it, somehow they'll be given deliverance, when really they just need to repent and ask God to come in to their heart and cleanse them and then rise them up to be a soldier against this evil in this key time. But there'll be no room for anybody in the middle in the time we're in. And I'm talking to so many people that weren't even Christian or weren't even religious or weren't even spiritual, who are saying it's good versus evil. And I talked to so many people I know that are professionals, and they, Austin's full of a lot of, particularly rich people and women, just becoming demon possessed. I mean, literally saying that they're demon possessed, and I'm hearing about all over the country, all over the world.
So one of the things that struck me as he's going through that is this is getting gradually, at least in my mind, and it sounds like he's reflecting that too, it's uncovering itself more and more each day. I know a lot of people last year watching the Olympics were flabbergasted to see some of the things that they displayed and demonstrated at the Olympics that were clearly mocking things like the Last Supper. Many people drew parallels between the horse running down the river and the pale horse of the apocalypse. I mean, what should people think, and how do they deal with it when they start seeing these things? In the past, they probably would have just brushed it off as, oh, well, that's just some guy's idea of artistic expression. But it really isn't that, is it? Cathy?
Not at all. I mean, this has been used as a trauma base for a long time. It's one of the most basic forms. The formula for mind control came into the U.S. through Project Paperclip in the wake of World War II. When we imported the Nazi and fascist scientists into the U.S., with them came the formula for mind control. And that formula is the same, whether it's of an individual or a nation or the world. And trauma is the basis of it. It was found through the Hitler-Himmler research. There's no trauma more horrific on the human mind than sexual abuse of a child prior to age 5 while their brain is still forming. This kind of trauma taps into our brain's natural response to trauma too horrible to comprehend. It actually shuts down neuron pathways in the brain, shoves that traumatic memory deep into the subconscious so the rest of the mind can develop and function normally. Well, this kind of extreme trauma of shutting down neuron pathways stops conscious thought. When we don't have our conscious mind filter, our subconscious just takes information in. Our subconscious drives our thoughts, our opinions, our perceptions, and ultimately our actions. And then what we need to realize is the second most equally as important form of trauma on the human mind is blood traumas. And those are the satanic ritual abuse traumas. So we've had the pedophile agenda pushed at us real hard the last 4 years. And we also had Satanism pushed. I mean, everywhere I looked, there was some bloody image of something, because that affects the subconscious mind on such a deep level. And it causes the conscious mind to just freeze in fright. So this has been a deliberate manipulation that has been put over the people to keep them distracted, to keep them from thinking clearly, from having their brains fire properly. And it's just a very deliberate formula. And I think we're finally seeing that lift as more and more people wake up and reclaim their free thought. As they reclaim their free thought and their free will, soul expression, strength of spirit, power of love, we're seeing this whole spiritual evolution happening. And as it does, the mind control spell that was put over us using trauma is broken. It's like when you know a magic trick, it loses its effect. It loses its magic, and it's not there anymore. Well, people are gaining more and more knowledge that is our defense against mind control. So they're waking up to say, no more. So it takes a conscious choice, and that conscious choice begins with reclaiming free thought. So indeed, there's no middle ground, but there's many people who have yet to wake up sufficiently to make a choice and understand what in the world has gone on for generations now.
Lynn, what are your thoughts?
With your question about how to think, I want to add on to everything that Cathy just said. Because of we are being bombarded every hour of every day with more and more exposure is the word I'll use. And for people who aren't awake, it's scaring them, because here they thought they lived in a white picket fence world, and it's not. There's so much evil out there that I'm watching people, like whenever I share my story, it's hard for their brains to wrap around that this sort of thing has happened, period, once, let alone to so many of us for so many years, let alone our government's behind it. And there's just so much that's being revealed and exposed faster and faster and faster. And what when it comes to how people should think, I want to address how not to think, which is no fear. because fear in the in the physical world, whenever you have fear, your body goes into fight or flight. Physiologically, all the oxygen leaves your brain and extremities to survive, keep your heart going, and you can't think. You can't have that analytical thinking, and your mind becomes fuzzy, and it gives more power to the enemy. And on top of that, whatever we believe and think, we'll feel, and then we'll take action on. And that's just, I teach, again, my day job, human resource consulting. I teach this all the time. It's also very biblical. And so when people are in fear and they think that and they feel that, all their actions are going to be fear-based, which is not helping we, the people, worldwide. So instead of the fear, turn around and the highest frequency that we have is love, is love. And we can have love for people. Now, when it comes to these evil people, that's more in terms of we need justice. We need to see arrests. We need to see people getting consequences for their choices. But in terms of the thinking, it's more positive. So in my world, it's, praise God, thank God, or whoever. I know that there are a lot of different types of spirituality of people who are listening to us. And what I want to encourage is it is all we the people. All good side is we the people. And if we think positive, and if we, God created the earth by thoughts and words. And if we stay on that path, we're going to continue to create this beautiful great awakening going into the golden age. If we don't, then we're going to repeat a COVID event, which I believe a lot of the fear-based from COVID, so many of we the people bought into that it gave the enemy, because this is a spiritual battle, good versus evil. It gave them even more power because we agreed with all of their fear mongering, and that made it worse for we the people. So we have a choice in how we think, and how we think is going to be what we do, and we need to do in love.
Very good. I just heard someone else say the other day that when you are using love as your expression upon the world, you're actually extending. I think she talked about an electromagnetic field, sort of, that literally extends out from you and affects the world around you. And it's apparently there's measurements and other things that can actually demonstrate that. The gosh, there's so much to unpack with what you both just covered. So one is let's talk about these blood rituals for just a minute to make sure people spot what we're talking about. I mean, we've seen these in the context of performances with music awards and other awards. We've seen them in advertisements. We've seen them in specials. Some of the music videos that have been made have folks covered in blood or dripping with blood, and they, people otherwise would think, oh, again, it's just some sort of artistic expression, but it's really not. It's meant to create a reaction that we don't understand fully, bearing on this trauma that you're talking about, right, Cathy? And
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, again, trauma is the basis of mind control. So, that is a horrific trauma on our deepest mind.
And some of these have gone as far as, I mean, people are, I've forgotten what the actor or music person's name is, but he's in full, Satan regalia, his horns, and people that are worshiping him, there appear to be, they're all in red, and it really is in your face. And looking back, you can see some of this, but it used to be more cloaked. I think you might see something that edged on it, but wasn't quite as apparent, wasn't quite as out in your face as it is now. Lynn, you mentioned the no fear thing. I've, in talking to a number of folks, I've come to almost see fear as kind of opening a door into people so that it allows entry of, call it evil in one way or another. And it puts you in a position of feeling like you're not in control, but we really are in control, aren't we? We've talked in the past about the notion of authority and who really can control things. And maybe let's spend just a couple minutes on that. I want to make sure people understand their authority as it's been given to them. Lynn, could you talk about that for a minute? And then Cathy, I'll ask you to expand if you would.
Absolutely. So spiritually, we have been given, I'll say, good versus evil side. The good side, we have the power, dominion, and authority over this evil. They have already lost. They spiritually, they're Luciferian Satanists. They worship a defeated enemy, and they have no power if we didn't give it to them. And we give it to them by listening to their fear-based, they're fear-mongering, and by going down that path. And we don't have to do that. Instead, we can exert our power, dominion, and authority over this and say no. One of my favorite things to do, and I figured this might come up. So because of my trauma, I speak for the little girl in me. And so a lot of times I'll say things from a child's perspective. So I love keys. And there's scripture about how we have the keys to the kingdom of heaven in Matthew. Jesus said it in Matthew 16, Matthew 18. And basically it's what we allow is allowed spiritually, and what we don't allow is not allowed. That's the power, dominion, and authority that we have. And we need to learn to say no. I was watching that full clip with Alex Jones and Tucker, and they talked about movies. And Tucker asked Alex Jones, how do you know all this? How do you predict it? And he said, he just watches movies. I mean, that's basically what I got out of the gist of it. He just listens to the enemy, whatever they say on different documents they release or films they come out, or even what we consider sci-fi, is actually what they are doing or planning on doing. That's how he knows, and that's called predictive programming. And we can come out of that predictive programming if we want to, but we do have power, dominion, and authority over this. We don't have to tolerate it. We don't have to allow it. That's a huge part of the problem. It's a mix between everyone being not awake for so long, even though Cathy's been talking about this for years and years. I know it's such a blessing to her to see so many people waking up after all these years. But by us doing nothing, it has given them permission spiritually to proceed, and look where it's gotten us. So once we're awake, it's time to speak up and start doing, ask God, what is my part in this? And do whatever he lets you know, because we're all a piece of this beautiful puzzle that's forming in our Great Awakening.
Yeah. Yeah. Cathy, what have you found about the notion of authority and people's use of it?
That was just so beautifully stated, Lynn. You just always have such a concise, beautiful way of bringing so much power to the information that you share. Truth frees us from fear, and that's ultimately what we need to be able to do, is bring that forward. As a survivor of CIA MK Ultra mind control, I was deep in the swamp among the perpetrators who are using mind control to usher in their global slave society agenda. These perpetrators are a very low vibration, dark, negative energy force. We can call them evil, we can call them whatever we want. They are not like us, and they do not like us, and they feed off of negativity. That is their vibration. They feed off of fear, they feed off of hatred, division, trauma. They literally feed off it when we look at some of the other horrors associated with the ritual aspect. But their greatest fear, having been around them, is the strength of the human spirit and the infinite power of love, because it's a high vibration. They can't affect it. They can't feed off it. They can't reach it. They can't control it. It's our divine saving grace. And it is what we've been blessed with all along. So their greatest fear is that people are going to remember who they are and why they're here. They're going to remember their own power. They're going to remember to align with the divine within and live that love, because then it's game over. They lose all their power. They can't stop the strength of the human spirit. They can't possess it. They're people. What they possess is the mind. If they can possess the mind through MK Ultra mind control, then they inhibit our ability to think, to gather that strength of the human spirit and that power of love, if they keep us distracted. So that's their effort, and they're using MK Ultra in entertainment industries and in so many other ways. That's why we're seeing so many of the singers using the blood traumas and everything else, because they're programmed to create this and generate this fear publicly. So it's been a very deliberate mind control effort. It shows that MK Ultra has expanded beyond programming individuals in entertainment and the military, and using it in situations like Lynn and I have experienced. And it's expanded now into an attack on humanity as a whole. And it's time that we wake up to realize that, because when we do, that truth frees us from fear, and then we start realizing we have all the power. They only have as much power as we give them or let them steal. When we start living the love we are, it's game over. It's like their darkness can't creep in on our light. It doesn't work that way. Our light exposes the secrets in their darkness and dissipates their darkness. So, it is a spiritually evolutionary time that begins with reclaiming our free thought and understanding that what in the world has been going on around us is what we have allowed to happen for so long out of sheer ignorance of their need to manipulate and control. I mean, how much how much money and power does anybody need? Whatever they can get, they'll just take anything that we allow them to steal. So it's time, like you were saying, Lynn, we just no more. They're not going to get any more of that from me. I don't live in fear. People say, aren't you afraid with all your time? No, I don't live in fear. They got enough of that from me for the first 30 years of my life, and they're not going to get any more. I'm going to live the love I am, and I'm going to keep speaking truth. That vibration is out of their reach.
Amen.
Amen, indeed. You both mentioned entertainment and movies and so forth, and it's probably no surprise to many that movies like, for example, The Matrix, seem to have some very interesting parallels in them, especially when you look back now when we, I think, are beginning to understand more. You heard earlier Alex Jones talk about people making a choice. They're in the middle. They don't understand. They're kind of disconnected. And it reminded me of a particular scene from The Matrix where they are trying to teach Neo, the protagonist, here's the world as you have come to know it, but you have to remember people can take a path to the left or the right, good or evil, and you need to be aware that those they can do that. And here's that scene. I just wanted to share this.
The Matrix is a system, Neo. That system is our enemy. But when you're inside, you look around, what do you see? Businessmen, teachers, lawyers, carpenters, the very minds of the people we are trying to save. But until we do, these people are still a part of that system, and that makes them our enemy. You have to understand, most of these people are not ready to be unplugged. And many of them are so inert, so hopelessly dependent on the system, that they will fight to protect it. Were you listening to me, Neo? Or were you looking at the woman in the red dress? I was. Look again. Freeze it.
This isn't the Matrix?
No. It's another training program designed to teach you one thing. If you are not one of us, you are one of them.
What are they?
Sentient programs.
And then they get into the mechanics of the way that particular Matrix works. But that particular movie had so many interesting things in it. The just one tiny little pinpoint that I thought of this morning: the machine, the craft that they travel around in, is named the Nebuchadnezzar, one of the kings of Babylon, and so many things seem to go back to ancient times and wrap around concepts like Babylon and some of the pagan beliefs that came out of Babylon that we're now learning may still exist, do still exist, but are cloaked, are hidden, are kept from us, and are part of these, as you say, these rituals in some cases that are done. Many people can't even believe that they're still there, but in fact, we find evidence that indeed they are. One of the things that and it's the center, I guess, of what I struggled with for a long period of time, why, they're doing these things to us, I'll call them beings for the time being, whatever that means. Why? What is it they're trying to achieve in the way that they see existence? What are they trying to do? I know that's a broad question, but I think it'll help people kind of come to grips with, well, this is why they do this stuff, and it kind of explains how these things have come to be. Cathy, can you take a swing at that one?
Well, I can't understand how these people even think, any more than they can understand the strength of the human spirit. So, I just know that they want all the power and all the control. And there's just a handful of them, handful of puppet masters at the very top. They've been operating in secrecy for a long time. They have their secret societies. They have their secret meetings. They fly in their jets and chug in their yachts to these secret meetings that we're not allowed to attend while they decide the fate of humanity and how they're going to manipulate us next. So they've infiltrated over the years so many aspects of our society in order to gain that control. And again, ultimately, it is a spiritual battle. If they can maintain control over the minds of the people, then that stops them from being able to live their life's purpose, to remember who they are and why they're here, to live that love, and ultimately in that regard, it is spiritual. And the other end, it's the ultimate greed, the greed for power, the greed for control. They'll go to any length to do it. The most lucrative business in the world is the child sex trafficking, the drug and human trafficking across open borders. I know for a fact that is their funding mechanism. That has been their funding mechanism my whole life. And they generate income in the most negative, horrific ways. And they're losing their control over the population now. And the best way that we can continue our victory in the Great Awakening is to live the love, our purpose ourselves, to shine the light, because there are some people who are not quite ready to wake up yet, and we can't wake up for other people, because if we, that would, it's an individual journey, it's an individual experience, just like all spiritual aspects are, to align with the divine and go to source and live that love. That is what we're all here to learn and do. And so we can't wake up for other people, but we can certainly shine the light so bright that it dawns a new day, and wakes them up that way. That's the best thing we can do. And I think that's what these perpetrators, these puppet masters want most of all, is for us to just stay asleep. Well, it's not happening. We've already passed critical mass. It's game over. We just need to claim our victory, stop following these leaders we didn't elect, understand their mind control and the components of it, so that it breaks their spell and their hold over us. We're nearly there. We've got a little ways to go yet.
Yeah, it does feel, and you could hear it in Alex's comments too. It does feel like we're moving pretty quickly now toward something, some time, some stage, and so forth. Lynn, what do you think about the I'll call it the motivations behind these things, these folks?
From my experience personally, definitely money and power. From being trafficked when I was little, and all of the experimentation on the children by the U.S. University Medical Centers underground in the labs, for the organ harvesting of the children, the adrenochrome harvesting, all of the experimentation that developed the big pharma that we have today, that's poised to slowly kill us. They love slow torture. They are not like us, but it's money and power. And our government is the largest trafficker of children in the world, and it does fund everything. It's part of the New World Order agenda. why are they executing so many of us? I want to change terminology. What happened, what I witnessed in the tunnels was part of Operation Paperclip, and the Himmler research was satanic, Luciferian satanic. They are not like us, and they enjoy. They didn't use anesthesia on the children. They enjoy this. They are not like us, and their whole agenda is to kill us. I'll tell you what. I yesterday I was doing a podcast with two whistleblowers from California. One is COVID vax injured. The other one is a whistleblower from the California State Department of Health, and they told me the story of how the head of HHS at that time, 2021, 2022, I don't know, he came into the town that the vax injured person who's a whistleblower lived in. And our federal government gave that town $225,000 to put the COVID death shot in every child from 3 years old to like 12 years old. And they rolled out bans to every neighborhood, every school, every playground, everywhere a child was. And they vaccinated, they executed those children. And I know it's strong terminology, but I believe in saying the truth straight up. They knew what they were doing. A month after that, that same gentleman, the head of the HHS at the federal level, said, "We know the COVID jab is killing people." Righteous anger is what I used to see them execute the children underground. Now I see, and now of course that's in the child vaccine schedule.
Mm-hmm.
So when the COVID vaccine came out, I was asking God about it, and I said, "What is this?" And this is a quote. He said, "This is a depopulation event." It's exactly what it is. So, that clip from The Matrix, what we can do. He said the system is our enemy, and I believe that. Every system, whenever I get an opportunity to speak, I want to encourage people, leave the existing systems. They are corrupt, and I know there's good people everywhere. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the systems. So again, speaking from my background, which is the little ones, if you find that a little one that you love has been assaulted in such a horrific way, our system says step one, go to the unhealthcare Western medical system who experimented on me as a child. Go to them and let them assault your child again. Now, what's that about? That causes the child to completely distrust the parent that takes them there. They have to hold them down and assault them again. And then they enter the system where the next step is the child pedophile services. The CPS gets involved, law enforcement. There was a picture of that in The Matrix. Again, there are good people everywhere. That's not what I'm saying. But law enforcement, they have the right in the majority of states to hold your child in a 72-hour lockdown with severely mentally ill, violent children. So just imagine, you just figure out, maybe your child just told you, so courageous because they've been threatened with death not to speak. And then they get assaulted again, put in with violent criminals, and then you're in the system. And then any second, the child pedophile services can take your child away. Cathy can speak to that. My gosh, it happened to her. And then you enter the maritime injustice system, which is pro-pedophile, because these people are selected, not elected, and they'll destroy whoever is pro-child, and the pedophiles walk free. And our politicians, I mean, every system. So I I just feel this just righteous anger just flowing through me from this whole thing. But the system is our enemy. So I encourage we the people, exit the systems. We can do this ourselves. We don't need any of that. We have each other. We have, God, source, whoever. This is good versus evil. So whoever your spiritual, whatever your beliefs are, that's where you need to go and ask, find out how to help. What can we do? Like, and again, I'm talking about the children now, but how can we help? We can help our neighbors. We can help locally. We can help at the community level. We, the people, can do this. We do not need these corrupt, Luciferian, satanic, pro-pedophile systems that have been created by the New World Order to destroy us all. And they, unfortunately, have been doing a good job, but we are waking up and we are saying no. We are past the point of no return in our victory in this great awakening. We still have a ways to go because we, the people, need to start speaking up and exiting the systems and taking action.
Yep. Yep. One of the things that that hit home for me was something that I heard Laura Logan say some time ago. She was in an interview and had been exposed to someone that knew obviously a quite deep level on the motivations of some of these folks, bad guys. And she was asked, what is it about the children? Why are children such a focal point for this? And what she came to report and understand, I believe, was that the children represent the most innocent among us. They are the closest to God. They just came from God, and to break that tie, to break that connection, and harm the child in whatever way, or in fact kill the child, is the closest thing that they can come to their goal, which is breaking us and separating us from God. And I found that, to me, that rang quite true, because if you look at what they do, that it appears in many cases they don't care whether they kill the child or just harm the child, but they're accomplishing the same thing. And then when you generalize that and think about the folks that think nothing of promoting abortion, think nothing of, even post-birth abortions, which are unbelievably horrific, that would seem to make sense. And I think people are becoming, in many ways, sensitized to that. There's been things come out recently that talk about, moment of conception and when those events occur. And I'm hoping that people are taking that more to heart. When you look back and you think, the whole basis of, for example, abortion in the U.S. was based, very frankly, on what turns out now to be a lie, and yet it existed for 50 years until it was overturned. Let's see. As we go forward, one of the keys that I would like to expand on a little bit is, as folks see these things happening, how can they best go inside? You talked about, talking to God and so forth. How do people best experience that if that's not something they already understand? How would they begin to approach that, do you think? Cathy, can you talk to that a little bit?
Well, the first 30 years of my life was MK Ultra mind control. And I was used on a White House Pentagon level. I was programmed by DARPA and NASA and on military installations, and was absolutely robotic. And I remember as a little bitty child, my last free thought was wishing there was some place in the world where people didn't hurt each other. So by the time that intelligence insider Mark Phillips lifted me out of the Washington, D.C. swamp, handed me keys to my own mind, and reminded me that we have been blessed with resiliency of body, mind, and spirit. I did not even know that good people even existed in the world. And my healing process from coming from such an extreme was quite a journey. And I healed by writing out memory, and I was safe being with Mark. It was an amazing time. But he told me, he said, he wouldn't have anything to do with me, relationship wise or otherwise. He said, you have to know who you are in order to have something to give in a relationship. You have to heal first and be complete in yourself. So as I healed, I had to find out who I am, why I'm here. I was starting from ground zero, and I didn't want to do it with daily affirmations or look outside myself for someone to tell me who I am, because I had enough of that the first 30 years of my life. So I went within. I went deep within, and I looked to the base core energy of my being. I found that energy to be love. I found that it was so much easier to live the love I am than to tell myself I love myself through daily affirmations. You know, you gotta do it from the deepest, um, where you align with the divine, because no matter how I was tortured, no matter what my body went through, my spirit was always in a safe, loving space. And I'm very familiar with that safe, loving space. That's more than footprints in the sand. You know, I mean, that is just a beautiful thing to have experienced and be familiar with and maintain, because that's something I'd never, ever want to let go of. So that all of that allowed for me um, to find that love, that source, that strength of spirit, my life's purpose, my alignment with the divine, however we want to define it, um, within. And I think everybody can do that, but it begins with free thought. If I could find that so quickly and easily after what I've experienced in my life, and to have my testimony remain the same for over 35 years because I'm so strong in who I am and healed from that, what we've been blessed with all along, with that resiliency of body, mind, and spirit. If I can do it, anybody can, you know, and it's just a matter of shutting off the devices and the outside noise and go within. You know, get out in nature, get your feet on the ground, you know, take off your shoes, hug a tree, feel the air, feel the sun on your skin. You know, these are all beautiful things that bring us back to our divine nature and who we're intended to be. So it's not hard to find. It just begins with going within and aligning with the divine.
Yeah. Lynn, how do you describe the process?
That's just so beautiful.
Yeah.
Cathy, I love being on shows with you and just listening to you on all your shows because you just speak so beautifully. It always just touches my heart deeply. It's so eloquent. So the best that I can do is just describe my own experience and then let people, there's a phrase, I was in Al-Anon for a few years, take what you like and leave the rest. So that's what I'll say just starting out, because um, we do have the Lord within us, who speaks to all of us in different ways. Nature is a way that he speaks to everyone because it's so evident worldwide. Um, but whenever we speak, and even today, and something, and a listener is listening, and something resonates, it bubbles up inside of them, and they're like, "Oh, that's true.
Mhm.
That's God. That's whatever again you want to call him is great. He loves all of his names. He loves all of his children. I call him God." So, but that's God talking to you. That's like that spark of you are not alone. I have been with you all the time. I'm here. I've always been here. Because of my childhood, I saw the spiritual. So I saw it all the time. I saw God. I saw Jesus. I would see angels. I would see demons. I was up in heaven a lot. I still am. I'm still like that. Now, I believe that the day is coming where I like the phrase I hear a lot of people say there's a veil that most people
Mhm.
can't see it. Um, but I believe as part of this great awakening, that veil is going to be lifting so that more people can see into the spiritual than ever have before. And because I know it's not just for me and others like me, it's for everyone. And so if you could see, God is standing right there, just right there. And if you could see, he's here. Jesus is here. Holy Spirit's here. Angels are here. Demons are not, because I forbid it. I'll just say that.
There's your authority at work.
But they are everywhere, and God loves us so much. It is unfathomable, the love of God that he has for people, because he created us and he loves us dearly. And he wants to have a relationship with each of us. He wants to be a part of our life, just like physical friends and family and those you love are around. He's right here too. It always astounded me whenever I was little. that those evil people couldn't see that he was right there. He was right there. They couldn't see him. And of course they couldn't, because they worship, they're Luciferian Satanists, but he was right there. And he would have helped, and still will, any of them at any time, if they will just turn to him and turn away from the dark evil side, and come to him. But I if people, your original question is like maybe first steps, how can someone start this if they don't have it before? It is simply, I would start with this show. And whenever your inside just bubbled up at something that was said, know that that's God, and he's here, and he wants to have a relationship with you. And when you go down the side of light and goodness and love, oh my goodness, the world brightens up. These evil people, Alex and Tucker talked about it. They're miserable. I mean, and you can see it on their faces. The Tesla protesters, all of them. They're hate-filled, angry, miserable people. They have no peace. They have no joy. They can't feel love. They think, because they're being lied to from the enemy, that if they destroy us, somehow that's going to give them peace inside, and it never will. It never, ever will. They're being lied to. But if they turn to God, he is peace, capital P. He is love. And we can all have this, even them. At any moment, they can just make a choice just to turn and go to the other side, two sides of the fence, just little step over the fence, and there you are.
Free will actually is a thing, isn't it?
Yes. Free will choice. Yes.
As you were speaking, something that Cathy had mentioned resonated with me, and that is, there's so many distractions in the regular world that we've come to think is the world, right? Radio and TV and, gosh knows what going on all around us all the time. And yet it's most easy to get back in touch with the things perhaps that really matter when you're someplace quiet, when you're someplace that you can concentrate on you and not all the other things going on. Wi-Fi you can actually do without for a period of time, and you won't miss it. But I that's one of the things that struck me, because I used to find that very true. I would find myself wanting to get away from things like radio and TV and other stuff, just so I could pay attention to the little things, and then find hopefully little wonders in the world that you wouldn't normally see. I've noticed online in the last couple of months, people are posting more just sweet little videos. It doesn't have to be funny. It doesn't have to be something crazy, but it can be as simple as puppy sleeping with a duck or something in a bucket somewhere, and they're just nuzzled up, and two different creatures just sharing their existence, and just all kinds of little things like that I find fascinating. As we come close to our time, I wanted to make sure that folks who have heard this can get more information about each of you, so that they can learn more, that they can connect if they wish, follow what you're doing, and get the benefit of that. Lynne, can we start with you perhaps, please?
Yeah, so I have a few sites. The main site people can go to is the letter Q and the word grit. There you go, grit.org.
Got it.
And that is a plan that the Lord gave me before I started even speaking, his plan then to what to do with the rescued children, rescued from trafficking and other forms of abuse, as well as how to help the adults who are still injured by any sort of trauma. There are tons of action steps, what we the people can do, how we the people can help, my tips on what to do, to identify the indicators, if children around you are being trafficked or abused, and the steps to do and not to do if you recognize a little one that you love's being abused. So that's all on that website.
Okay.
I also have one of the tools, thank you, Bill, that has been extremely successful to me with the PTSD and anxiety is LifeWave. And as a side note, I'm also a marathoner and a weightlifter, and it has made me run faster, lift heavier weights, lose a bunch of fat. And you'll see I used to wear glasses. Well, I can see now. Praise God in so many ways. So actually, I've worn those glasses since first grade. And now my eyesight's back. So this is a reverse aging product because God wants us to live way, way, way. This is the wearable med bed. God wants us to live way, way, way past where we're living now. So I just want to encourage everyone there. And then my day job, I'm an international award-winning human resource consultant and career coach. So I've had that business for years and years. If you're interested in that, that's at lynnhaggerman.com. And then my Rumble is the Lynn Scott Haggerman Show. God said he wanted to be really clear who I was, so he named it. I said, let's do something fun like Win with Lynn. And he's like, nope, we're going to call it the Lynn Scott Haggerman Show. And then I recently started posting on X because I was on Nino's show and all of a sudden I had followers one day. So I thought, well, you better start posting something. So you can join me at Haggerman 91741. And I started on Truth Social posting too. And that name is Victory Always because I created that account when Truth Social was first created. Before I spoke a word, I created that account Victory Always. Praise God.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. I remember, I think in our first session, you only had a couple places for people to watch you. Now it's, wherever you are, that's where people need to be. Cathy, how about you?
People can find me on my website at trance-formation.com. That's TRANCE-formation.com. And my social media is there. You can find out that the my locals is there. Can get my books. My books are all listed. Transformation of America is my 1995 testimony for Congress. National security was invoked on it, so it was released in book form, and it's secured there on my website and also through Audible. I've read my books myself so that I preserve the integrity of the information. Information is not only censored, it's diluted when it's pirated. So make sure you go to source, go to my website at trance-formation.com. Access denied for reasons of national security tells Marx in my journey through the corrupted justice and mental health system to help my daughter Kelly, and how we were able to make a powerful impact there, and the difference that we made all the way back in the early 90s, before people even knew how corrupt the child pedophile services is. Lynn, that's brilliant. That's so true. That's exactly that. I mean, this system is horrifically corrupt. We need to step outside it and be people helping people, getting out in our communities, talking to each other, eye to eye, heart to heart, soul to soul, and make a difference there. The system's so corrupt. Access denied shows exactly where it's corrupted, how it's corrupted, what we can do about it. And ultimately, it's a testament to the strength of the human spirit and the power of love. It also tells Marx in my love story. And most of all, they can get PTSD, time to heal there. Those are the healing methods that Intelligence Insider Mark Phillips taught me. They are our birthright information that was being suppressed under national security to keep us looking outside ourselves, to big government, big pharma, big tech, big occult religion to tell us how to live our lives, because we forgot what we've been blessed with, because it's been withheld from the medical community, the mental health community, and society as a whole. So PTSD, time to heal. It's the healing methods I use. They're easy to self-apply because they're natural. And it's not about me. PTSD, time to heal is about each and every one of us. Each and every one of us needs to be able to expand our thinking beyond what we think we know, because we have a whole world of truth to gain, and a lot of strength to be gathering so that we can be the positive necessary change we need to be seeing in our world, and remember who we are, why we're here, and start living our life's purpose. So all that, trance-formation.com.
That's wonderful. Once again, thank you both for being here. I hope this is the first of a number of things we'll get the chance to do together, and help folks, one, understand where they are, and two, understand their best choices that they can make for themselves, for their family, for their kids. and their souls. So thank you, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys next time.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.